How's it going, selectors, and welcome back to our Welcome Back Diva deck tech series. I do believe this is the fourth video in the series. Today we're going to be talking about the Ray on Wings of Radiance deck. This is quite a bit of a different deck than the usual no limit deck, and I like it quite a bit. This is actually a jewel themed deck, which is good. This is good. This is a fun deck. And it utilizes the new Ray to good effect. One of these jewels kind of snuck in, and also you gotta use this beautiful card. Oh, this deck is beautiful. Okay, so this is a no limit deck, so we are running the full no limit team, which is great. No limit has been one of my favorite teams ever since Diva came out, so it's great to still be playing no limit, but quite a different take because we have Ray here on the Wings of Radiance. So Ray says, auto, at the beginning of your attack phase, if you have drawn 2 or more cards by effects this turn, you may discard 3 cards. If you do, target blue Signy gains Assassin until end of turn, which is great. So this is a really good way of pushing damage. And this is not a once per game. This is every single turn. So if you're able to draw at least 2 cards on your turn, you can then discard 3, give one of your things Assassin, which basically lets you attack your opponent directly and push damage through. So this is going to be our main way of pushing damage. We do have other ways to clear lanes and stuff, but always keep that in mind. That's just a great way to push damage. So any cards that let us draw cards are going to be great. She also has enter, draw a card, and enter charge 1, which is really good. And then her once per game effect is this Elrig gains twice per turn. Whenever one of our opponent's life cloth is crushed, draw a card, or our opponent discards a card until end of turn. So that's really, really good. So we can either force our opponent to discard cards, or we can draw cards if we need them. It's just great. I like drawing the cards. And then giving our opponent Assassin, or giving one of our things Assassin so we can push more damage. But if you just really want to rip cards out of your opponent's hand, you can do that too. Also, we are running, obviously, the level 2 Ray, which is beautiful, the level 1 Ray, and then, of course, the piece de resistance, my level 0 Sleeping Ray. As you can tell, I do like Ray quite a bit. Next up, we have Ave Stamp. This is a very interesting one, but it's one that I've seen a lot of top winning decks use, and I've come around to it. I like this card. So this is a main attack and attack phase, or main phase and attack phase timing Elrig. It's a level 2, costs 1 to play. It says vanish target signature on opponent's field with power 12k or less, which is great. So that's just an attack phase, banish, make them vanish a 2 or less, or 12k or less, with only costs 1. And it also has this really wild second effect that costs 5 to activate, and it says if it's our opponent's turn, your opponent cannot pay enter costs with value 1 or more this turn. So that's one of those, any of those abilities that have one of these symbols on here and then like the dots, and then it, you know, costs 1 to play and then has the dots and then whatever. They can't activate those abilities, which is really, really good. So it shuts off some of our opponents like level 3 Elrig abilities, which is really, really good. The level 1 Ave is on stage. This is a 0 main phase timing, vanish a level 2 or less signature on our opponent's field, which is really good. And then, of course, we have just Ave, level 0. And then we're running Akino. We're running, in my opinion, like the 2 best Akino support cards, Bye Bye as well as Rock. These are ones that I just always need more copies of. So this is Bye Bye is main phase or attack phase timing, costs 2 to play, return a signature on opponent's field to its hand, which is great. And we can pay an additional 2, a white and 1 of any, and add a signature with a guard from our trash to our hand. Now, this is a little bit tricky to pay because we don't have a lot of white cards in the deck. So you want to make sure that you save your white enter for this. So yeah, we'll talk about that as we go on. There's a couple cards that actually use white, but not a lot. Next up, we have Akino Rock. This is our level 1. Main phase timing, return target level 2 or less signature on our opponent's field to its owner's hand, cost 0. Great. I love effects like this. I've mentioned this before. Effects that clear a lane but don't vanish, because vanishing puts it into our opponent's enter so they can use it. Bouncing it back to their hand doesn't. And of course, we have our level 0 Akino. Once again, shout out to Lucky Yuki. Beautiful. We have our 2 piece cards here. We are running Glory Grow because it's just insanely good, as well as Song of Wixoss. So this is one that I haven't really used all that much before, but it's a great card. So this is a 0 cost piece with main phase or attack phase timing. And it says use conditions. You have to have a blue Elrig on your field. Draw 3 cards. At the beginning of your next end phase, discard 2 cards. So this is a great way to activate this, and then you can use Raise ability to give one of your Signy Assassin. So just really, really good. I like this card quite a bit. So basically you can think of this as like, yeah, you get to draw 3 cards, and then you can discard those 3 cards that you drew to give something Assassin. Keep in mind you have to discard more cards, but you know, that's how it is. We also have, like I said, Glory Grow. This card is nuts. Anyone who's played Wixoss knows how good this card is. Main phase timing, use conditions, you have to have all no limit team members. So this is the payoff for running all no limit. And it says target level 3 Elrig on your field gains the following abilities until end of turn. That gets double crush, and it also gets your opponent cannot guard. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. So basically makes it so that we get a free double crush, unless they're somehow able to prevent damage. It's great. Yeah, so yeah, that's that. That's our Elrig suite. Let's talk about our main deck. So let's go over the burst cards first. I don't know why I always have these out of order. Oh, I didn't share with you the backs, the card backs. Yeah, we got some Forte card backs on here. Not that anyone cares, but I like theming them. I like theming the decks. All right, so even though we have a blue Elrig, we actually have a lot of red in this deck. Starting off with Alexandrite, Natural Pyroxene. So this is actually a jewel deck, but there's some other like synergy here too. And one of the synergies is what we're gonna talk about here. So this is has a life burst of choose 1, vanish, up Signy on your opponent's field, or draw a card. It also has auto, whenever another Signy on your field gains Assassin, Lancer, or Double Crush, you may pay 2. If you do, this Signy gains that until end of turn. You know what we can give, you know what gives our Signy Assassin? Our freaking Elrig. So our main Elrig, Ray, gives our dudes Assassin, and then you can pay 2, and then also give Alexandrite Assassin. So 2 of your dudes will get Assassin. So this card's great. Absolutely great at pushing in damage. We're running 3 of them here. And once again, keep in mind that this is a jewel card. We really care about jewel cards. Why? Well, this is one of the payoffs. We have 2 payoffs. We have more than 2, but we have Lapis Lazuli, and we also have the blue Adamus. Yeah, we'll talk about why it's good right now. So this is a level 3 Signy with 12k attack. It also has the life burst. Choose 1, down a Signy on our opponent's field, and our opponent discards a card, or we get to draw 2 cards. This is actually a really, really good burst effect. Auto, during your opponent's turn, when this Signy is vanished, you may put a red jewel Signy from your hand onto the field. The enter abilities of the Signy do not trigger. This is incredible. So anytime one of our opponents vanishes one of our Signy on our opponent's turn, we can then put any red jewel Signy we have on our hands onto the field, kind of like replacing it, and just kind of like shoring up our board with it, which I think is very, very important. This is a really, really good card. Next up we have Lowlight, Natural Crystal. This one is another jewel. This is a blue jewel though. This one is just a life burst effect that just says, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You can add up to 3 cards from among them into your hand, put the rest on the bottom, which is great. You get 3 cards. This is basically a draw 3, which is really good, actually. It's better than a draw 3. You get to look at the top 5 and pick the best 3. So this is good. We're running 2 of these, basically just as life burst. Here we have Benetois, Natural Crystal. This is another jewel. This is a really good card. But it says, auto, once per turn, when you draw a card outside of your draw phase, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. So it kind of gives you like this filtering effect, which is great. And it also says life burst, down target Signy on our opponent's field, freeze it, and draw a card, which is really good. It's a really good life burst effect. We're just running one of these here. We're also running Haniel, Blessed Angel, a Wixoss staple. Not a jewel card, one of the few non-jewel cards, but we needed more light cards. And so this fits the bill pretty well. So this is a 1-drop, or rather a level 1. It does have a life burst effect of look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal a Signy from among them and add it to your hand, or put it onto your field, which is really, really good. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And this card is a card that lets us get some advantage. So for enter, For one, we get to look at the top 3 cards of our deck, and we can reveal a level 2 or less Signia from among them, put it in our hand, put the rest on the bottom. This is one of the few light cards in the deck that we can actually use to activate some of our Aquino's abilities. So keep that in mind. So we have Haniel. They're also running the full Servant Suite, because of course you do. We're also running Hamlin Step, because a lot of blue decks run Hamlin Step, all right? Like, this is just an incredible card. More or less, it costs 1 to play, and you get to draw 2 cards. It has another effect if you have Hamlin in your hand, but we're not running Hamlin. So we just have the pay 1, draw 2 cards. It also has a life burst effect of you can discard a card. If you do, put a target up Signy on your opponent's field on the bottom of their deck, which is great. And that, oh no, we also have more spells. I'm sorry. We also have Deafening Inferno, which is incredible. So Deafening Inferno is another Wixoss staple. It's a 1-drop. The burst effect is vanish and up Signy on an opponent's field. And then we get a vanish for its actual effect. We get to vanish Signy on our opponent's field with power 8k or less. If you have 3 no limit Elrig on our field, which we do, instead vanish the Signy with power 10k or less. We're running 3 of these. This is a great card. Absolutely great card for clearing lanes. All right, now we have our non-life burst cards, and here's where we get into some really fun and spicy stuff. So let's talk about Blue Adamus, Natural Pyroxene. So this one is a jewel, and this one cares about other jewel cards. This is the other reason we want to run jewel cards. We have the Lapis Lazuli, and then we have the Blue Adamus. So it says, auto, at the beginning of your attack phase, reveal the top card of your deck and draw a card. Then, if a jewel Signy is revealed with this effect, you may pay a blue, a red, and 1 of any. If you do, vanish a Signy on your opponent's field. So yeah, we just want a lot of jewels, and we want them on top of the deck, and then we get to do this effect, which is really, really strong. Really, really good way of clearing lanes. So yeah, we're running the full 4 here. We really, really want to activate this effect as much as possible. Next up, we have Rose Quartz. This is the no limit signature Signy, and it also happens to be a jewel. So this is a no limit, like I said, no limit signature one. It has 12k attack. Enter, you can pay 2 red, and then vanish a Signy on our opponent's field with power 12k or less. And then also, when it attacks, you can discard 2 cards. If you do, draw 2 cards, which is quite good. Which is quite good. Being able to draw 2 cards will turn on Ray's effect here. We are running 3 of these. We also have Lancelot. This is just the Japanese Lancelot from the DXM decks. The only thing worthy of note here is that it is not a jewel. It is a brave type. So it's just a 2-drop with 5k attack. In case you don't know what this is one of the most stapliest of staple cards in Wixoss. When it enters, you can pay 1, and if you do, you can vanish a Signy with 5k or less attack. Yeah, so we're running actually 3 of these. We're also running a bunch of the dual color cards, but because these are jewels as well. So this is Sylvana Natural Crystal. This is just the level 2 10k jewel, has no effect here. It's just a dual color card, so it counts as a red or blue. We're running 2 of these. Once again, it's a jewel. And then we're running 4 of the level 1s, and they're all also jewels. So once again, this is a jewel themed deck. We want to have as many jewels within reason. Next up, we have Hecate, Azure Angel. So this one's actually pretty interesting in combination with Adamus here. So Hecate is a 1-drop. It's just an angel, so not a jewel, but the effect is good. So enter, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and you can put any number of them on the bottom of your deck in any order, and put the rest on top of your deck in any order. So what you want to do is you want to put the jewels on top of your deck, so we can get the blue Adamus trigger to, guaranteed to work, and then do its thing there, which is really good. So yep, we're running Hecate. We're actually running two Hecate, or also, as I call, Goopy Foot Girl. And then the last card we run is Thrilling. Once again, this is another card that you'll see in a lot of blue decks because it's just a staple spell. It's a one-drop spell, and then when you play it, you can pay Exceed 4. If you don't pay the Exceed 4, it's a draw 2 and discard 1, which is still really good for turning on our Ray ability. But if you do pay the Exceed 4, you just draw 3 cards. So really, really good. And that's the deck. Basically, you win by giving your stuff Assassin with Ray, possibly 2 things Assassin if you also have the Alexandrite on the field. Then you gain advantage by having your Jewel Suite with a combination of lapis lazuli, replacing your jewel cards with other jewel cards, or replacing any Signy with red jewel cards. Remember, they have to be red, so you can't replace it with any of the blue jewels we have, but the dual color cards work. And then alexandrite and rose quartz. So yeah, that's the most important part. It has to be a red jewel, but still really, really good. I think that prevents you from putting another lapis lazuli into play. But yeah, that kind of protects our board a little bit. And then we also have this to gain an advantage. And that's basically the deck. It's a lot of fun. Like most of these decks, I got this list from a tournament-winning Japanese list. So this deck is good enough to win tournaments, at least in Japan, and I think it's a lot of fun. This is also a deck that is fairly inexpensive to build if you don't get the highest rarity versions of a lot of the cards. There are a couple of the supers that are, a little bit, like alexandrite and rose quartz, or they can be a little bit pricey here or there, but overall this deck is very, very cheap to make. So yeah, if you want to play a no limit deck that can, push some damage through, that's kind of a little bit of a different take on no limit, I highly recommend this one. And you still get to do the no limit shenanigans, right? You still get to do your generic suite of no limit shenanigans because you still have Glory Grow to get that double crush and make it so your opponent can't guard at all for the turn. So yeah, this deck's fun. I like this deck a lot. If you just want to keep with the no limit, I highly recommend it. The next and last video in this series, we'll be talking about updates to 2 of my favorite decks. We'll see you then.